Hello, hello, hello there, gang. Welcome to episode, I think it's 132 of the 30. I am your host, Patrick, developer of people, like to say a purveyor of hope, a coach, an entrepreneur. I want to thank you for joining me today for this episode. I am certainly glad that you are here and that you decided to take some time out to join me. Do me a huge favor if you can go ahead and like and share this broadcast on your social, whether you are viewing us from YouTube or from LinkedIn or from Facebook. Make sure that you go ahead and like and share the broadcast. If you're watching us from YouTube, become a subscriber, hit the subscribe button and subscribe to the Jackman Group LLC channel. We greatly appreciate it. Spread the word of the 30. The 30 is a weekly broadcast focused on providing valuable information to our viewers and listeners. The goal is to help you enhance your personal and professional lives. Our topic today is, how are you showing up? That's the question. How are you showing up? If you are a leader of people, the big question is, how are you showing up? Think about that. And I want you to drop your comments or any thoughts on how you're showing up to your teams or to others, to your clients. Drop that in the comments, and I would love to have you say something on it. Or if you just want to say hi, go ahead and do that too. But welcome to the 30. Give me about 10 seconds and we'll be back as we explore this very important question. How are you showing up? We'll be back shortly. All right, we are back. This is the 30. Thank you again for being here. The main question today we're going to be focusing on is, how are you showing up? If you're a leader of people, let's go ahead and explore that. Shout out to Erica Bates and she's a virtual summit strategist. Congratulations on on your third anniversary of your live stream. Congratulations on that. 3 years you've been doing that, and you're doing a fantastic job. So thank you. So let's explore this. As you know, I am a leadership trainer. I do leadership training, coaching, and sales training. I engage regularly with the leaders. And this is a question that I often ask them, whether we are in a coaching situation or if we are training. I asked them this same question. How are you showing up? Then I asked myself, how am I showing up? Right? How do people see me? How does my client see me? How those that I train and coach, how do they see me? Do they see me in the same way that I see myself? And that's the question that you have to ask yourself. How do your teams see you? And during the course of our training, we do, especially for a couple of clients, we dive into what we call, because it's important for you to know your team members and they know you. So we generally do a 180 with some clients. We do a 360 with the leaders. And that is really to find out about them, right? How do your team see you in terms of your leadership ability, in terms of your leadership effectiveness? And it's at times it's a revelation, because the leaders, we as leaders, sometimes we see ourselves one way. But when we pose it to our team members or to others, so if we do a 360 encompasses not just our teams, but those around us, including those that we report to. So the question that we pose, and we do it in a survey form. So the first thing that we do is that we ask the leaders in the class a series of questions via survey, and it deals with leadership effectiveness. And some of the questions will be, how does your team see you? Do your team see you in terms of being an effective leader? Do they see you as being responsive to their needs? Goes back to the question, how do you show up? How am I showing up? Do they see you in terms of meeting their needs? Do they see you as a developer of them? And after we do that survey, then we come back and we ask their teams. We send it out to their team members, because we ask them to send us information, emails for their team members. And sometimes for others, if we're doing a 360, for others that they may want to have weigh in, provide feedback, and then to their managers. And at times, when we show them the answers in terms of how they see themselves, what they wrote, and then the responses that come back, at times there's a vast difference between how we see ourselves and how others see us. Which begs the question, how are we showing up? And at times there's a huge gap. Not all the time. Some leaders hit it spot on in terms of how they see themselves and how their team members or their leaders or those around them see them. But sometimes there's such a huge gap, because we may see ourselves one way, and then those around us may see us totally different. So which begs the question, as I was thinking about, what can I do for the 30? What is the topic? And this hit me, right? It just says, how am I showing up? And I have to ask myself that first. How am I showing up? How do others see me? What's the perception? There's a great show that I used to watch. I don't see it anymore. But you probably have seen the show. It's called Undercover Boss, where the boss disguises him or herself or themselves, and then they go into the field. So they leave the penthouse, right? And goes out into the field and undercover to really see what was going on out in the field. And at times, when the CEO or the manager or whoever, VP, goes out in the field, what some of the policies that they intended that maybe have been affected in their thoughts, they're thinking, okay, this is an effective policy or procedure. This will positively impact the organization. When they go out into the field, it is completely different in terms of the intention. So it goes back to intention versus perception. So they intended it as one way. However, the field perceived it as totally different. The result is totally different than how the manager or the leader of the organization perceive it to be. So I ask yourself, and I ask you, how are you showing up? Let me go to a couple of folks here as we go through this very important question. Shout out to Marlene Jackson. Marlene, good evening to you. Thank you for joining. Let's go to Veronica Leonard. Veronica, thank you for joining. Good evening to you as well. Erica says, you're brilliant. Well, thank you. Thank you, Erica. That's how we see it. Well, thank you. Thank you. Not everyone thinks like that, right? But that's okay, because that is an opportunity for me to improve. Because I may have a perception of how I see myself. Others, like Erica, may see me in one light. Others may see me totally different. But it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to improve. So how do you as a leader find out how you're showing up? Because it's important. This is a very important question. So how do you find that out? as I mentioned to you, you find out through feedback. You find out by asking others around you. You find out by asking your team members. And that's what we do in some of our leadership training. We go to the leader first, and then we go to their teams. Sometimes we go to their managers or leaders, right? Those that they report to, and ask the questions. Tell us about Patrick. What is, in terms of leadership effectiveness, rate it on a scale. Their decision making, rate it on a scale. Because feedback, as we tell our clients and our participants in our classes, feedback is a gift, right? You want feedback. That's the only way that you can improve, is to solicit or ask for feedback. Sometimes I was in a training class yesterday. I was doing a part of a training for a client. I love this client. I'm not going to say who they are, but they have a cohort that they bring together, some of their leaders from all across the country. And yesterday we were doing something in terms of teamwork as well as communication, effective communication, and how do you build effective and productive teams. And one of the things that we were talking about is, to this particular question, how do we see ourselves? How do others see us? And the question, the comment came up, well, in terms of constructive criticism, right? You've heard this. Constructive criticism. We're going to give our team members constructive criticism, or we get constructive criticism. In my opinion, my humble opinion, is just me, there's no such thing as constructive criticism. So think about the two words, constructive and then criticism. So how does that even match? I don't even know where that came from. Just my humble opinion, there's no such thing. So what I tell our leaders and those that we train or coach, think about it as feedback. It's feedback. That's what you're looking for, is feedback. However, positive or negative, good or bad. Because if you get feedback, it really shows. You should be encouraging and asking for feedback. As a leader, you should be giving your team members feedback, not constructive criticism. Criticism, right? That's nonsense. That's just my opinion. But feedback is a gift. We should be asking for feedback. Your team members are asking for feedback. Give them feedback. They want to know how they're showing up also, right? You want to know how you are showing up. Other areas that you should be concerned about when we talk about how are we showing up is, how are we communicating with others? What is our level of communication? Are we effective in the things that we say? And how do we know that? Because communication, there are two components to it. Well, there's obviously more than two, but there are two main areas of communication effectiveness. There's a sender, so you got to have a sender. You have to have a receiver. That's part of it. A message, sender, receiver. So as a sender, if you're sending a message or you're giving a message, how do you know that it's received? In terms of how you intended it to be received. Again, how are you showing up? Do people perceive you as someone that don't know what you're saying? An effective communication, an effective communicator. I believe that an effective leader in order to be one component of being effective as a leader is effective communication. So how are you showing up? Is your message being lost? Are the words that you are saying, are they impactful or are they negative? Are you positive when you meet with your people or others in terms of your clients? Are you always negative? How are you showing up? Oh, woe be me. The world is coming apart. Do people want to be associated with you? How are you showing up as a leader? When you come into a room, what is the reaction? Are they putting their heads down? Are they saying, oh, here we go again? So these are things that you need to really get and understand. So communication, as I said, so one is we really want to understand from our team members or those around us, if we're leader of if we're leading teams, is number one, what is our disposition? So I'll start there. And when I say disposition, what I mean is when I step into a room, does the room light up or does it go dark? Right? That's what I'm looking at from a disposition standpoint. As far as communication, is my message is with what I'm saying, is it received? Do they understand my messaging? Or is the messaging or the messages that I'm giving, is it blocked in some way? Are there too many filler words? You know what filler words are. Ums, ahs, you knows, right? Those are filler words. Am I using too many filler words to block the message that I'm trying to confer to others? How am I showing up? How are you showing up? What are some of the things that you have done in terms of development? Because I can't talk about too many things without talking about development because that's what we do. That's what I do, right? I'm a developer of people. So I'm always looking to how can I best improve myself? How can I most importantly, how can I best improve those around me? Those that bring us on as clients, those that are in our classes. What can I do? What can we do as a team to take people from where they are to where they desire to be? How are we showing up to make sure that is a success? How are we showing up to make sure that when we show up as an organization, when we show up as developers of people, as trainers, as coaches, are we getting the best out of people? So these are things that you really need to focus on. So ask yourself, and I'm over the next couple of weeks, starting today, this is the topic that we will focus on. How are you showing up? I like to say, think about this. Think about your interaction. Consider it as a bank. Now, we all like to make deposits, right? We all like to have a nice bank account. We all like to have money in the bank. Well, that's another topic, or investments, because if you have too much money in the bank, you're not getting much interest these days. But still, so investments are in the bank. I look at my interaction with people in this way. Am I making enough deposits or withdrawal? So when I interact with others, am I making a deposit or is it a withdrawal? So if I have deposits, I'm depositing things into them. My interaction with them means that I'm making deposits. How am I showing up? They don't mind. They love when I'm around, with our team around. The interaction is great, right? That's deposits. Their growth, they're growing. That's deposits. So are you making deposits, or are you withdrawals? So one or two things are going to happen. You're going to deposit, or you'll have a withdrawal. We know what happens with withdrawals, right? If we have too many withdrawals, too many negatives, they go into the red. So where are you with your interactions? Are you depositing? Are you withdrawing? Do people see it as a deposit, or do they see it as a withdrawal? Because really, it's not about us. It's about those that we interact with. They make the decision based on their own filters, or from their own view, how you show up. Again, we may think we are showing up one way based on our own perception. They are going to see it, or they may see it, in a totally different light. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about these things. When you show up, what is your facial expression? Is it one of excitement, or is it one of dread? And then how does that convey to your audience? So again, we may think that our facial expression is one way, but our audience may think of it as totally different. So how do we get that? Through feedback. Solicit others. Get feedback from them, for them to find out, hey, when I do something, how's my facial expression? How's my tone of voice? So from a communication standpoint, we know nonverbal, right, is people, in terms of what people see, the facial expression, your gestures. That's a nonverbal, your body language. Then a tone of voice. That's another component of effective communication. Are you showing up in a real mono voice? Well, this is how it's going to be. Or are you showing excitement, which draws people into you? Are you the magnet that when you go into the room, people are excited to see you? We all desire to have human connection. That's a desire. We all, well, not most. The majority of us love human connection. We desire that. But is our actions, or the things that we say, are we forming human connection? Are we drawing people? Are they drawn to us, or are they removing themselves from us? Again, the question is, how are we showing up? How are you showing up as a leader of people? And that's the question. So I want to drop that in here. Let's look at the chat again. The last time I was invited under 30, Erica, you helped me to realize what fear was, and therefore helped me to get rid of it. Thank you, Erica. I greatly appreciate that. You know how much respect I have for you. My dear wife says, so true. No such thing as constructive criticism. She's drinking the Kool-Aid in terms of development. So think about that, right? So we cover a vast amount of territory today. So we're going to explore this over this week and next week. But I want you to really think about this in the coming weeks, in the coming months, because last week we talked about goals and the importance of setting goals. And as you set your goals, then think about this and executing on your goals and executing on the things that you have to do for the next year or so. It's important in order to achieve those goals. It's important to understand how you are showing up. How are people perceiving you? Because in order to achieve some of the goals, you may need to engage others. Others may be part of the equation. So it's important to demonstrate and understand before we go down the road 5 months, 6 months. Why not start now? Let this be part of your action plan. Is soliciting feedback from those around you. Put that as part of your plan. I know I'm going to put it as part of mine. To my clients, we do it as far as our survey to our training participants because we desire to improve. Our goal is always to get better as trainers, as a training and development and company. Our goal is to always improve. And we go directly to the source, our participants, and we ask them, how are we doing? How can we improve? What are the areas or the gaps that you think we fall short in? As far as trainers or facilitators, what are some of our strengths? What are some of our areas of opportunity? What are some of our gaps? How can we improve individually and collectively? Because when we show up, we want to show up for impact, right? It's all about changing lives, transforming lives. That's why we are here as a company to change and transform lives, to take people from where they are to where they desire to be. That's our mission. That's our purpose, is to transform and change lives, to improve. That's what this show is all about. This broadcast is to provide valuable information to enhance your personal and professional lives. The Jackman Group, who this show is a production of the Jackman Group. That's what we do. That's our mission also, is to change lives through training and development, through coaching. I'm so fired up. We just graduated today a cohort, 10 weeks, 10 intense weeks, 10 intense weeks, once one session per week for 10 weeks straight. We just graduated 15, and we're excited about that, and we're thankful to our client, the city of Rochester. So we're thankful. And over the next couple of weeks and months, we'll have some of those graduates on. Tuesday, we just started our coaching program. I am so fired up about that because this is something that we wanted to do a long time ago as a group coaching. We do a lot of one-on-one coaching with leaders and executives. We've done that from the get-go. But we just started our group coaching. We are so excited about that. We just had the first session on Tuesday. And I am stoked about the weeks and months to come because it's all about growing people. It's all about taking people from where they are to where they desire to be. It's helping them to accomplish their goals. And at each interaction, we want to find out, how are we doing? How are we showing up? How are our coaches showing up? So I challenge you, if this is something that you've never done, I challenge you to look into yourself and ask the question. Ask those around you, how are you showing up? So on that note, I want to thank you for this episode. Next week, we're going to continue this very important topic of how are you showing up. So until then, think about that, consider it, and then bring it back next week, because we're going to continue this, because I want to make sure that 2023, we are giving you the tools and the information that you need to take yourself, your business, your profession, whatever you are doing, our goal is to help you go to the next level. So until next week, may God bless you and your family. Be safe. We will see you then. Peace.